closely beside you in the darkness. It's your one and only, all you ever wanted. Lift you from the shadows by the shine. I'll strike the match, you start the fire. You could be the river running through the canyon, and I'll be the earth below. You could be the night sky, the stars above, and I'll be the earth below. If you listen closely, lean into the silence, sounds you're hearing, a melody is timeless. It's two hearts melting into one, the rising moon to the setting sun. You could be the river running through the canyon, and I'll be the earth below. You could be the night sky, the stars above, and I'll be the earth below. I'll be the earth below. Take my hand when the water's rising, winds are flying. This romance, there's no denying. You could be the river running through the canyon, and I'll be the earth below. You could be the night sky, the stars above, yeah, and I'll be the earth below. Yeah, I'll be the earth below. I'll be the earth below.
Froese and Busch. All right. So do I have it correct to say that Froese is the artist performing on the song and Busch is the co-writer?
That's right.
That's true, and we're also co-producers on it.
Yep, we co-produced it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that process when you guys hook up in your studios.
Well, this one was different.
Okay, tell us about how you walked through this process of putting the song together.
Yeah. So what was this? Was this the second song we were? No, maybe third.
Yeah, something like
We've
that.
been writing together for what, a year-ish?
It's probably about 2 years now.
2 years now? Okay, yeah. So we usually work at your studio in Newport, home studio, and it works great, flow there. But this time I was going to be doing some house sitting up in Topanga Canyon.
All right.
Can you feel that?
Yeah,
Right?
there's a vibe up there.
Right?
I want to. I'll do it next time. If you're not available, call me.
Okay. Sometimes the set and setting,
Yeah, it
you're in
does.
the right place. And so I had a couple nights up there. So I said, hey, come on up. I want you to experience this canyon. I don't think you ever had.
First time in Topanga.
First time.
He asked if you want to go. I said, sure. And then I said, where's that?
And I dropped the pin. And
Yep.
then so he came up and he's just wowed by it. And I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, you feel it. You know what I mean? And so this is a famous area, which I'm still learning. I didn't know this was this epicenter of music. And actually right at the turn up to this place I was staying is this empty lot that there used to be some venue that Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and all these people played in.
Right.
That's burned down twice.
Yeah.
Now it's just empty. There's so much history in that
So
canyon.
much history.
That was the writing hotbed in the 60s. Yeah. Everybody was up there because it was cheap. You know, it was a really inexpensive place to live.
Not anymore.
Yeah, my sister lived there actually, and she used to tell me about such and such used to live here and used to live here.
Yep.
And even actors, you know, still live up there.
Yep.
I mean,
Totally.
it does. You go down into that canyon, and it just puts you in a different spot, different
Yes.
place.
Different world.
It's amazing that it's in Los Angeles. That's the thing that you lose yourself in.
Yeah, you dip down that road, and it's a different world. It's
Yes.
like I'm like I can't believe I was in Santa Monica 10 minutes ago.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So we kind of get up there and we're like playing with some chords, feeling some stuff. I think you were started on piano or something. And we just kind of get into it. How did we even start that song?
You have to understand the setting. It's like the sun's coming down. There's like this expansive view over the whole canyon. You've got, these hills with the river running through it. And so like that was very visual, but the story evolved out of that essentially metaphorically. And it's sort of like, you're looking at this nature and how it's all kind of supporting each other, the hills and, and the river and the sky and, sort of like letting the other one outshine the other. And we kind of thought of it as like a metaphor for like a relationship. Like maybe it's like, a soulmate or like how a parent feels about a child where it's like you almost want to stay in the shadows and let them shine sort of. And that was kind of the nature metaphor that we were writing to.
Yeah, and I think too for me, I've been in that role before. I also like in a way tapped into kind of Lucas Nelson and A Star Is Born and that sort of thing where I've played that role before for a female lead where she is the star and the shining star and I'm this brilliant, amazing support, but I'm kind of in the shadows and I'm like kind of lifting her up. And so I tapped into that energy too. So the metaphor plus that, it just started to flow. We wrote it one night. It was...
Yeah, I mean, I always tell songwriters, that, and no one likes to hear this, but really, like, no one cares about your story. They care about their story. And so if you can tell your story and they hear themselves in it, that's the sweet spot, basically. And I think that happened here unintentionally. We're just like... Especially myself, first time there, boom, I'm like so soaked into this magical place. But I think that happened out of this song,
That's right. It all comes back to me. We're sitting down, what should we write? And I just thought of this little voice memo I had from, months ago. I had one line, and it was just, I'll be the earth below. It was that singular thing.
That's right.
And you heard it, which you're so brilliant with, and you're like, okay, cool, let's do it. Like, you could kind of feel the world of it or where it's going or how to get there, right?
Totally, yeah. I mean, we complement each other well as writers. You just, sometimes you write with a lot of people, and then you find someone, you just get lucky, things connect, and this was one of the songs where we kind of proved that.
What I found on this tune is that the second it comes on, you like it.
Yes.
You also like transport over into that space, like automatically,
like in nanoseconds.
It doesn't
That's
take
right. Yeah.
two verses and then the chorus. Now I'm there.
Yeah.
No, it's like out of the gate.
I remember being really specific on the B3 sound that I heard. It was referencing a Benmont Tench, B3, but that he was playing on a Ryan Adams record and kind of had, I think it was Ethan Johns who produced it, like a very specific, but like weird. I don't even know how you would do it with the drawbars and everything, but we sent it to, what's the name of
So sent it to a friend of mine from Seattle that now lives in Nashville, Ryan Shea Smith.
That's right, yeah.
Incredible
So good.
keys B3 player. He played the piano parts and the B3. So our process with this is, we'll lay down a guitar and the vocal, and the vocal's usually a scratch at that point. And then we'll kind of set the vibe. And the way I play guitar implies a lot of the groove and the movements and the transitions, the dynamics, all that stuff. So it's kind of imprinted into it. And then what we love to do is pick the right musicians that we know will vibe with it. And we just say, do your thing. And we let them just
throw their color in.
Feel it and respond.
Yeah. Well, they did.
Well, I think that's a brilliant quality that you release your art into the trust of someone else, but the right someone else that would handle your thoughts and your artistry accordingly. I think it's really lucky that you have those connections in place, because I think that's where a lot of artists get lost in, well, I thought this guy was groovy, so I sent him my stuff, but now my song sounds like not me. So it really is a blessing that you have these connections and you know these different people between the two of you.
Take it to the next level.
Ingrained in them the ability to take your vibe and expand and complement your vibe instead of just
instead of changing it.
Rub elbows right now, whatever kind of magic sauce you got going on, just for that connection right there. Not everybody has that figured out, but you guys do have that figured out. That song was stunning.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's taken a lot of years, I'd say, in trial and error, a lot of learning, mentorship, and everything to get to that place where we know how to guide a process and not control it and over guide it.
You give some sounds, you give some references. He's heard this story before, but Mike Garson, who incredible piano player, David Bowie's band leader for decades, and he's out there with Lord and Billy Corgan and everyone right now. He has been a real mentor for me. We were on a flight, together from LA to Nashville, and I don't know why I felt like I could ask him the Bowie questions that you always want to ask, but never. It's not cool to do it, but I was asking, there's a record, I think it was right after the Ziggy record, called Aladdin Sane, and it's had a lot of crazy jazz stuff on it, and I was asking about those solos, which I knew he had done improv in one take, and, I asked him, I was like, how did Bowie allow that to fly? And he was like, Bowie was meticulous about picking every single member of every single band, but he's like, once he did, he gave us all the artistic freedom in the world, and lots of, Miles Davis is great at making great bands, and so I'm like listening to this thinking, I'm like, who the hell am I to like be picking on every little note, when David Bowie's not doing it. So that was like a kind of an eye-opening thing for me,
Interesting.
Yeah, we've only had a few times where someone senses something and we go, oh,
It
actually,
happens, yeah.
less 16th notes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
more.
more for you, less for me. That's how.
Yeah.
That's our yin and yang for sure.
But you've obviously had a lot of experience honing that skill, learning and understanding who it is you do want to work with and who you don't want to work with.
Yep.
That's a process in and of itself right there.
Totally.
Right?
Choices, how to make choices. Yep.
I want to play some more music.
Okay. The space
too.
between. Tell us about the space between.
Ooh, this is a good one. So the friend that had introduced us, a longtime friend of mine, Lola Christine.
Yes.
We know her. Yeah.
Shout out to Lola.
Shout out to Lola.
End of the show.
Yep. And so she had introduced us, actually. So the three of us wrote, and we're like, we got to write. We got to get us all three in there. So we got it. We got ourselves in the room finally after a while, a year.
Yes, absolutely.
We're like, what should we write? And so the way we approach writing is we always just sit down and chat, talk, just see what's surfacing, see what's alive. And you had this riff that you had made up the night before on the acoustic. It was a little rough.
It was a lot rough. Yeah.
But you showed it to me. You're like, I think something like this. And then, so I took the guitar and was like, oh, you mean like this? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then Lola came in, we were trying some ideas. I said, let me show you this riff, which I couldn't even remember. I'd had a few cocktails the night before when I was messing around on the guitar, and I was like, let's hear what this sounds like. And we started running with that, and she had this concept, she's like, I want to write something about kind of living with intention, and, I'm always big on saying things more in a subtle way. And so we started talking about, relationships and some of like the, very literally it'd be the space between, which became the hook, but some of these things these disconnects with people in relationships that you maybe don't address, but then sort of finding almost beauty in it and some magic in that, and maybe it's not such a bad thing. And so the message evolves from feeling this distance, feeling this disconnect, to suddenly like realizing that this thing is part of who we are, basically.
Wow, you just touched my heart. Okay, let's move forward. The space between.
In the quiet spaces between empty words are questions we've been meaning to ask. Is who we are still who we were? Or did we leave it in the past? This mystery, the space between, flowing like a wave, the give and the take. What you want and what I need. Another chance for us to dance and fall into the revelry. This mystery, the space between. Letting go of all the hurt inside of my soul. This is where the healing begins. Every breath, every beat in my chest is rising from the beauty within. This mystery, the space between. This mystery, and the space between.
Oh, holy smokes.
Unbelievable. All right.
I'm seeing 100,000 people with their phones.
I know.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yes. So let me go back to the song first, and then let's talk, because this song is amazing. Okay, the space between. Who are the performing artists on this song?
So myself, Froese, singing, playing guitars, played bass, yeah, and then Lola sang and played piano, and then the three of us, her, myself, and Justin Busch here, sang like all those big gang vocals on the O's, and then on percussion we had Kyle Fair. He is an LA cat. He is an incredible drummer, and I got to like be in the studio live with him. It was so amazing.
For a song like this, this would be something that you probably have to do together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to nail the transitions and changes in feel and stuff like that.
This is one where you do have to be a little specific.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's some synth key stuff in there, like you played, and
Yeah, I programmed some church bells, layered some some of like the power chord stuff at the end. And actually, while we're shouting out people on this song, Tyler Norris is the mixer on a lot of our stuff. I've been working with him for years. This song's an absolute nightmare from a mix standpoint, and he absolutely just slayed it. So, I mean...
he slayed it. I remember when we heard the
Unsung
first...
hero.
Yes, when we heard the first mix.
Yeah.
You and I were traveling. We were in Costa Rica.
That's right.
And we were like, oh, we got it. So we sit in the rental car.
Yeah.
And we're in the jungle, and we put it on. And I literally could not stop but cry. It was so moving. Hearing the way he mixed it and presented it, he just nailed it. And I was like, holy.
Every time he was like networking at NAMM, I was like trying to steal his business cards because I was like, no, don't don't meet anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the people on it.
Epic.
Beautiful people. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's epic.
Absolutely took my breath away. So I want to just give you some feedback, if that's okay.
Please.
All right. So I was a worship leader for 25 plus years. So when I talk about worship leading, I'm not talking about hymns. I'm talking about like Jesus culture. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that the space between is not, doesn't have any intentions of being a corporate Christian sing-along type of song. However, when you look at the fact that what you've written here with a space between, and you describe potentially this relationship that has this love, but also this discord, this disconnect, but that also defines the vibration that this relationship has. All right, now take that over to being a worship leader. The same elements exist, the same elements of love, discord, disconnect, but that is the vibration of that relationship. Mm-hmm. I really felt this really strong comparison between the two worlds, just a human relationship versus a belief system relationship. When I was listening to the space between, and I was freaking worshiping to this song. I hope you don't mind.
Don't.
Regardless of where you are in your religious or spiritual space, we are all still humans with relationships that are complicated, but all of those elements make that amazing, beautiful relationship what it is.
I think you've connected.
Okay, I'm done.
I think that's basically what's
all right.
No,
Connection.
That was so cool to hear. So cool to hear, because fist bump is what we're doing here. We did it. You clued exactly into what happened there, where basically when Lola and I met like 10 years ago as worship leaders at some Bible conference. So we met in the music and in the music of worship music. We did that gig, and we've always felt like we wanted to do something that way, but like mainstream Christian music doesn't speak to us for various reasons. And so there was a little bit of this longing of like, how can we get at like the deeper things of life without having to name names or make it that, but just make it accessible.
And they were
everyone.
like invited you to the right. And it worked.
That's how you do it.
perfect.
Right?
I like the way you
Sorry,
just put that, though.
it was just a good opening for
I like the way you just put that without naming names, because it's about one heart to another heart, from another soul to another soul, love and difficulties.
Yeah. Spirituality is a human experience.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a religious one.
Right.
And between us, there's a dynamic. There's a push-pull. There's energy. There's a space. Sometimes we need to give space to things. Well, you know, in that, there's a living, breathing thing. That's the relationship. So we wanted to like name that and do it in such a way where we could articulate, I think, what we've tried to achieve in our lives, you know, through struggle and wisdom of like, how can we let the tensions, the shadows, the tough things just be okay and be a part of it and not ruin it, and just be like, yep, just let that breathe. And so we wanted to also musically then see how we could take it into that anthemic place, that like larger than life
And you did
stadium,
that. You did that stadium anthemic thing.
Yeah. Right.
Massive. Let's play it again.
I'm ready. Okay, turn the lights off. Phone lights on.
Yeah.
All right, let's just so that we can hear more of what you guys got going on. Let's
roll.
move to This Is Us. Somebody give me the scoop on this song.
well, we were sitting down at the time. We were working on a couple of like sort of cross between artist stuff, you know, that Justin's doing, but also, yeah, I know it's the popular thing now in the sync world. This would be a good example if you're a songwriter, you know, trying to get into that space. This song plays by a lot of those rules, but basically this one was sort of like, we have this idea of discovering yourself through connecting with someone else. And so this lyric of when I found my way to you, I found my way to me sort of thing is where this basically developed. And so finding a kind of home in a different place basically was sort of the start to this sort of lyric.
Open road, You'll find your way when you lose your place, and it all becomes so unclear. When I found my way to you, I found my way to me. After all we've been through and all we've seen, through the darkness and the dust, this is us. There were days I felt ashamed to ask for the things I knew I'd need. You climbed the walls around my heart and set my reckless soul free. When I found my way to you, I found my way to me. After all we've been through and all we've seen, through the darkness and the dust, this is us. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever felt this way before? We'll never be the same. We'll never be the same anymore. When I found my way to you, I found my way to me. After all we've been through and all we've seen, through the darkness and the dust, through the darkness and the dust, this is us.
There we go. That is titled This Is Us by Justin Froese and Justin Busch.
That's right.
Excellent. Froese and Busch.
Yeah.
I was telling them when they came in here, they need to open up like a beer and wine venue.
Yeah, exactly.
Bush beer.
Yep.
Just kidding. You guys are really making some very, very stunning music. And Justin Froese.
Yes.
I like the Zay part.
Froese, yeah.
Froese.
That's it.
Where can they find you and find your music and follow you?
Yeah, thank you. I'd love that. So online, I'm Justin Froese. It's Froese. I'm on Instagram, Spotify, and then I also do a fun thing. Started a songwriter collective where basically it's a community for songwriters to write more together. And so that's online. That's called the Soulful Songwriters Collective. You can find it on Instagram as well.
I'm going to say that it's one of the most comprehensive songwriting kind of programs, like all levels of mentorship, from not just the writing process, the production process. They go into studios and learn how to produce and engineer. He teaches you how to arrange. He teaches you how to set up your social media, set up your online presence. If you're a songwriter, a singer-songwriter, I'm selling this for you because it literally is. I've spoken for so many of these courses, and it's by far the best one. Truly, the second place option is not even close. So say the contact again, because I would highly recommend it to any upcoming songwriter.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. It's Soulful Songwriters Collective. So if you search that on Instagram, you'll find it.
I think the pedigree speaks for itself.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, it does. I'm going to be checking that out. I have been a former member of some other
songwriter groups,
great
and programs.
stuff. Great stuff. So I'm going to check yours out.
I love that. Yeah.
Awesome.
And how about where to find you, good sir?
If you want to, I don't know. Justin Busch Music is my Instagram. My label and publishing company is grade1viewmusic.com. I have a website, justinbushmusic.com. So those are probably the best ways to find me.
Yeah, find a bunch of your music. All sorts of stuff you got on there, right?
Tons of it, yeah.
Yes, there's a topic that we need to touch on before I can let you out of the studio.
Let's do it.
What's that? You are since then locked in
Okay.
Sounds good.
until we touch on this subject. It's of high interest to many, many other songwriters in how to go about the process of syncing your original music with either independent filmmakers or the major filmmakers. Any filmmaker, how about that? Not just filmmakers, but also in the gaming industry. I know you are just the coolest, most humble guy.
Justin Busch.
Because you never insert yourself for a Justin Busch only interview. But one of these days,
I'll come and do one.
One of these days, we're going to hopefully warm you up to feeling comfortable to doing that. Okay, look, but if I go to Justin Busch Music, Justin Busch is spelled Busch, music.com. And I'm sure what's on his website isn't all of it. I'm sure there's more. Okay, so if I could, I can't even, the scroll of listings of films where Justin has his music. I'm going to try to read this. Here we go. I can't read it. It's scrolling by so fast.
There's
One,
so
much of
two,
it.
three.
Yeah.
Key Valley, Mixology, Odd Mom, New Amsterdam, The Lost Trailers, Shameless. I can't read them all. You pretty little. Okay, Queen America, Suave shampoo. I can't read The Fosters. Go slow down this scroll.
You can go to my IMDb.
Yeah.
IMDb. I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah.
This is important, and I'm not just trying to be fluffy or anything. There are so many songwriters who are so super curious of how to get into this. And there are other songwriting type of organizations. Some of them do have some legitimate routes for syncing. Some of them, I think this syncing route is questionable, but you just have to discern that for yourself. But anyways, I'm going to go to IMDb, and I'm going to put in Justin Busch. Look at he's blushing. This is important stuff. Oh my, I didn't bring my glasses to read all of these. Justin Busch here in the studio. His connections, his talent, his ear for a good song, a good melody, the right musicians, the right lyric. He has an ear for all of these things put together. And Justin Busch has his music, whether he has the songwriter credit or the co-writer credit. Dude is also sometimes the lead. Doesn't talk about him much, but he is sometimes the lead. Regardless of what his credit is with the song, Justin Busch has his music in well over 20 films, and many of which you have heard of. For songwriters who are interested in this process, Justin, how did you get plugged in, and how would you suggest other songwriters legitimately find a legitimate path to get plugged into the same idea of connecting an original song with the film industry?
Well, yeah, I get asked this a lot when I give talks to songwriters, and I'll tell you my history, and then it helps you kind of understand some of the history of sync and how we got to today. I started out as a staff writer in Nashville, meaning I wrote on staff for a publishing company. I got a draw every month that was kind of advanced against future royalties, and I was doing artist work. And while I was there, and this is 20 years ago, I'm 41 years old. I started right when I was 21, my first staff writing gig, and then I switched publishers to what ended up being one of like the first TV film publishing companies in Nashville at the time, and no one was really doing it. The job of music supervisor, the person who's kind of picking the music for the films, that was a new job. I mean, in the 90s, the directors were doing it, and so there's a lot less competition. In fact, a lot of people didn't even care about it, you know, to be honest with you. Composers were just writing the scene music in between the score. But what happened as music became digital is the exposure to music through various types of digital media, whether it's social media, like you said, video games, films, TV shows, you know, Instagram, whatever, became greater and greater to the point where today 2/3 of new music exposed to listeners is through some form of sync. It's not on, believe it or not as much as even Spotify or the radio or whatever. And so as that started happening, the masses started flocking to the sync world. So one thing I always tell people is I got in and kind of made my connections and got in, you know, a little bit earlier than people. And that, you know, was a leg up on, you know, not having nothing to do with your ability to write a song. I was just doing it when there was, you know, like 1% of the competition there is today. But the most important thing is to get some depth in your catalog. So you'll get these guys that are trying to sell sync courses and they'll be like, what do you need to make $1 million? One song, one great song. I mean, that's like, you know, that's a lottery ticket. So, I mean, I always tell people, I say, set a goal, you know, for how many professionally produced songs you want to write per year, and say you can do 1 or 2 a month, say 2 a month, which is harder than it sounds. That'll get you like, you know, 24, 25 a year. Do it for 4 years, and now you've got 100 professionally produced songs, you know, and that's a good place to start. Now you've got a catalog that you can start spreading out. And then you have to establish relationships with licensing companies, any type of sync agents, third-party licensing companies. The music soups aren't going to want to go direct to you when you're new just because they don't know if you really know how to license. You might not carry what's called E&O insurance, which stands for errors and omissions when you screw everything up. They don't know that whether or not you have signed an exclusive deal with someone else, whether one of your co-writers has a pub deal and you're not even allowed to do this. So there's so many ways that you could screw this up that until you're established in the business, you're going to need a kind of a middle person. And there's a lot of sync agents that, you know, and licensing companies that are legit out there, and you can do some research online and common links will start showing up.
And I might add, you have to be really good.
That's a good point.
Oh, that has something to do with it, right?
Let's not forget about
That's
the
something
talent.
to do with it. The talent. That was awesome information.
Very
Justin
much.
Busch, thank you so much.
Thank you
guys.
And Justin Froese. I just love
Pinky up.
saying my pinky
Pinky
up
up,
there. You guys are amazing. Call us anytime. Keep
Thank
us
you.
posted on your new releases, and congratulations on the award for The Earth Below.
Thank you guys for doing what you do, by the way,
Yeah,
supporting local
course.
artists and
Giving us a
songwriters.
voice.
We really, really appreciate
Yeah.
that, and it's just great that people are still doing that, supporting, you know, what this is at its core. To be honest with you, because that's what it is at its core.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You betcha. It is our pleasure.
You were listening to GZR, Ground Zero Radio. Follow us on social media and every Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Time on KOCI 101.5.